Hi everyone and welcome to my channel Nikitinaknits. My name is Evgeniya and in this video I'm going to share with you everything that I knit in 2024. I want to keep it short, informative and entertaining at the same time, so I'm going to be speaking shortly about each pattern. But what's the most exciting about such video is that I can share with you how the item and the yarn behaved over time. I personally search this specific information in such videos, so I will be sharing pattern name, yarn name, just very short experience on how it was to knit this and wearability of this item in my wardrobe. So I truly hope it will be informative and enjoyable for you at the same time. So I will be also sharing with you one of the most horrible yarns that I worked with. Yeah, I just hope that it's going to be enjoyable and informative for you as well. So with that being said, let's begin with the first finished work that I really enjoy. It's a Danish designer and it's the cardigan that is called For the Love of Brioche Jacket. It is completely knit of brioche stitch. I knit this on 3.5mm needles, which is lesser than recommended needles because I went completely off the recommended yarn. My yarn is Lana Grossa Satisuri Big, which is a Suri alpaca and silk blend. Quite thick thread, so I took just one thread on 3.5mm needles. But even with this modification, I was a little bit over gauge. Her pattern is knitted on 4.5 or 4mm needles, and there's a different yarn. So I got this very beautiful, very much loved item in my wardrobe with this quite risky yarn choice, because in my mind it was like, it's alpaca plus silk, it's going to just slip to the width and to the length and it's going to grow like crazy, but actually it didn't grow that much. Around the shoulder slopes and the shoulders I put a little elastic thread so it keeps its shape a little bit more, and I usually wear it during special events. I love to go with my husband to Philharmonic or theaters or just like special dates, and Suri alpaca is very warm, plus it's brioche stitch, and it keeps me warm, breathable, and beautiful at the same time. So about the construction, it is a contiguous shoulder construction where you start at the back, you cast on stitches here, and then you start increasing for the back and for the shoulder at the same time, leaving space for the shoulder. So then you have this contiguous line across your shoulders, and just as it is, you keep on knitting the shoulders while increasing for the front and for the back, then go down and start increasing for the sleeve and for the front. And when you go down, you start increasing for the sleeves, for the body, and for the front. The good thing about this is that the designer really took her effort to make a really cool fit, so the increases are not regular for everything. For example, when we need PetiteKnits patterns, we almost always increase in the same rates, just in the round, so it's super easy, super memorable. But here you have to follow a spreadsheet chart that she included in her pattern, where you have to count each row, and on every row you have to make increases either for the sleeve or then for the sleeve and for the front, or only for the body, you know, like they're very spread and they're not regular, so you have to keep track of what you're doing every single row. But I don't have issues with, you know, paying attention, so it's fine. The other thing that I modified was the ribbing. She has a completely different ribbing in the pattern. I didn't need ribbing at all while knitting my cardigan. I just knit the whole thing, and then separately I knitted the bottom band in double knitting, completely super long, and then with the crochet hook I attached it towards the cardigan. It took me some effort. It was not made from the first time. I think 5 times I did it or so because either it was too long or too short. So I had to figure out myself the race of how I attach the bottom band towards the cardigan. And I would definitely need this cardigan again. The pattern was super clear, super amazing. A few people said that it's complicated pattern, or just because of these increases it's quite confusing, but I didn't find anything confusing. It was super nice, super engaging. You have to focus, and of course I will be repeating this jacket in a different yarn. The next pattern is a Cumulus blouse all neck by PetiteKnit. This is my sample. It is knit with the recommended yarn, which is Isager silk mohair in the color 0. It is this very grayish, very cold pinkish neutral. It's quite hard to describe this color, and because of the silk it also shines a little bit. I am so much in love with this color. I'm wearing so often. This is one of my favorite garments. I have only 2 garments that I favorite, this one and the next one that I'm going to show, so This one I'm wearing all the time. Whenever I go for a coffee with someone, whenever I go by myself to work in co-working. I don't wear it when it's too cold outside because it's quite breathable, but still. It is also very warm because it's silk mohair, and when you have a lot of air stuck in the fabric, it also works like isolation for the body. So I'm very happy with this, and I just hold myself from repeating a few more Cumulus blouses. I understand now other knitters who repeat them over and over again in different yarn because it's very minimalistic and very wearable. And with such simple design that doesn't take so much attention, you can really notice and appreciate the yarn choice. I'm the person who is incredibly sensitive to mohair, and this mohair is insane on me. Of course, if I press it very like much towards my neck, I will feel something, but overall nothing. And the other good thing is that it didn't stretch out after blocking at all. It just held its measurements, which is weird for silk mohair. Usually it does grow at least 2 centimeters. Well, the construction is the raglan construction with some really nice depth of the neck without any short rows. The first thing you do is you cast on stitches at the back and you start knitting flat back and forth, increasing the fabric. And then when there's enough depth, you connect things in a round and knit just a simple raglan as we usually do. Incredibly simple and fits perfectly. The sleeves are not twisting in, which I really don't like in raglans sometimes. I don't know what's up with this construction, but it's really nice and really simple, completely beginner friendly. So when you're done with the whole garment, you then do the I-cords on the neck and on the body. And the only modification I did here, I added short rows in the front. I did like 3 turns back and forth, and that gave me 6 additional rows because the front was shorter than the back, which is a thing with most of my garments. And I don't like that. I like when my garment is completely even across my whole body. The I-cord in the bottom I did without the decreases. So when you need the I-cord, if you know this pattern, she's asking you to do some decreases in the I-cord, and I just did it once. My fabric was too tight and it created this weird bunch across my belly, which I didn't like, and that's why I didn't do any decreases, and it looks perfect. Another super wearable garment in my wardrobe that is fast, incredible, a little bit expensive because of the mohair, but completely worth it. And my last warm garment that I need for myself this year is the most amazing project, I think mostly because of the yarn. So this is a poppy tee by PetiteKnit that I transformed into a sweater, and I knitted this with the recommended yarn, which is a Cardiff Cashmere Classic, which is 100% cashmere. This is an incredible item that I wear so many times, and even though it's carded cashmere that is very fluffy, it has to peel quite a lot. But right now, I noticed just a few little balls that are very easy to take out, and it doesn't bother me at all. I was expecting way more peeling, to be honest. I wear this item all the time. I wish I wouldn't wear it that much, but I love it a lot. I wear it even when I go shopping sometimes. I wear it to the coffee, for the walks. It's super thin and it's quite warm. It's very classic. The color really suits me, and this is one of my favorite colors. It is incredibly soft. It is like a kitten to my skin, and I wish I could knit again and again with this yarn, but it's incredibly expensive, so not soon probably. So the construction is an English tailoring construction where you start at the back and then you need the trapezoid shape as a back yoke. You go back and forth while increasing in the same row while doing the shoulder slope. But what I did, I modified this a little bit, so I added some short rows here to create this little angle. So in the original pattern, the neckline would be like straight and then trapezoid shape, but I wanted to have a little depth of the neck, and that's why I casted on the recommended amount of stitches for the back, and then I did short rows, like 3 turns. Here, then here, and here, then kept knitting and coming back 1, 2, 3. So these little triangles were formed. And I'm pretty happy with the result. It was a little bit of a mind work, but I don't regret doing that. It works beautifully. So when you're done with the increasing for the shoulder slope, you then pick up stitches along the right shoulder. You knit the front while increasing for the neck. Then you pick up stitches from the left shoulder. You then increase for the neck as well. And then you connect everything in the round, including sleeves, and you knit like a normal raglan while increasing in every second row. Super easy, super simple, very popular pattern. A lot of people knit this. And what else I did is that I did a split hem here. I did 2x1 ribbing in the bottom and in the ribbings everywhere, including the neckline. And I did the folded neckline following the instructions from PetiteKnit, but again, making sure my stitches are divided by 3. And I follow the instruction for the fold connecting, and the same as she does. It's perfect and it's completely worth the effort. Super happy with this item. I would make this again, but it's a little bit boring for me because first, it's an extremely popular pattern. Everybody's knitting this. Second, I have so many new patterns I want to knit and so many different plans. So I'm not sure if I'm repeating this soon, but I really love that. The light is going off, so I had to turn on the additional lighting, but I'll keep inserting the B-rolls with the yarns and the textures with the daily light so you can truthfully see how it is. I told you that the previous project was my last warm garment. It's just because I forgot about my most horrible garment because of the yarn that I needed this year, and I want to show it to you. To be honest, I feel a little bit ashamed to show it because the amount of disaster that you will see now is crazy. But I want to be truthful and I want you to see some realities of some yarn and learn from me, right? From my mistakes. So this is the sweater that I self-drafted, and the construction and the whole sweater is amazing. I really enjoy it. But look at this yarn. Like, this is such a shame. And this sweater is worn less than my cashmere sweater that I showed you previously. It is freaking shame. The yarn is Lana Grossa Alta Moda Cashmere 16. Just remember that name and you will see the amount of peeling that you're going to experience. The contents of the yarn is 78% extra fine merino wool and 12% cashmere. When I saw the yarn in the bowl, it was so freaking amazing. It was soft, puffy, smooth, shiny. It was everything that I love about the yarn, and I just expected, of course, I expected some peeling. Obviously, it's a soft yarn. What do I expect? It's not let loppy, right? But come on, guys, this is like too much. And 12% cashmere is white color. You see all of these balls that are white? This is the 12% cashmere that is constantly peeling off. And I have no idea why the producer Lana Grossa decided to put white undyed cashmere. Of course, knowing that it's going to peel off with the white color. Come on, this is really bad. So around the neckline, of course, there's still some peeling, but at least it's manageable somehow. But around the whole body is so much of a peeling that I try to take these balls out, but just in a few days, it just gets back again. The yarn is incredibly soft, and of course, it's a pleasure to knit, but I would never recommend to knit any garments with this. Maximum, maybe it's hat and the scarf, but again, if it's a scarf, it's going to constantly wrap against your body and the clothing, and you will get that effect. Maybe if that would be white yarn, maybe it's the only option to excuse the usage of this yarn. With the white yarn, this white cashmere will still peel off, but at least you will take the bows out and you will not see that contrast. This looks just crazy. And I wouldn't say it's the cheapest yarn, right? It was not like wow, super expensive, but it was pricey also. This is a contiguous shoulder construction. I needed this top down. I casted on stitches for the neckline, knit the neckline, then did double knitting band for the neck. Quite nice. I would repeat it for a few sweaters more. And then I did short rows, 3 turns for the shoulders to kind of raise that angle for the neck slope. And then kept increasing for both front and the back as we're doing contiguous shoulder construction. And then I increased for the sleeve and for the body at the same time, separated for sleeve, knit the body completely down, did very short ribbing, and did very short ribbing also on the arms. You know now about this yarn. This sweater is quite nice. I wear it at home, but to be honest, even at home, like I don't feel nice wearing it because I'm a knitter. I know how the good fiber feels, and just to wear this hurts me. All right, next is summer garments, and I only have two garments to show you. The first one is plain Yoke Tee by Lana Samso, or LeKnit on internet. It is knit on 4mm needles, and the recommended yarn is Garn Line, very famous yarn out there in the internet. But I did not use the recommended yarn. I used Casasol Bambú, 100% bamboo, which is also 100% viscose. I think the color name is Cacao Fondant. It's very drapey and quite thick, and it's very heavy. So I finished it not exactly in summer, just a bit later, and it's already a little bit too cold to wear it on everyday basis. That's why I cannot really tell how much I enjoy wearing it in the summer, but I imagine it's going to be quite nice because here where I live it's not too hot in summer. It's a little bit cool, not too hot, not too cold. And this type of garment should have its place in my wardrobe. So this plain yoke tee is knit top down in the round. You start at the neck, you cast on for the neck, you do some short rolls to raise the back a little bit. And when you're done with the short rolls, you start increasing across the whole entire yoke and specific rates. And as the yoke grows, you keep on increasing with the bigger intervals. And this way you achieve this very beautiful rounded yoke that really suits me. This is my first ever yoke item, rounded yoke item, and I really enjoy it. So when you're done with the yoke increases, you then do some raglan increases here in the front and the back and from the other side. And after that, you split for sleeves, you knit to the bottom, and you finish like 5 centimeters of sleeves. The edges have no finishing, nothing. It's just a rolled edge, and you cast off and you cast on normally. So it's complete pure pleasure as the project to relax your mind. The yarn grew heavily after blocking, like 5 centimeters in length and maybe 2 centimeters in width, quite a lot, which was predicted. I know that viscose grows a lot, and in the end of the day, it's quite heavy. So I don't know if I will ever knit again with viscose. I don't really enjoy knitting with summer yarns overall or knitting summer garments, but still, it's very nice. I don't think I could buy it in the shop anywhere, and it's very special piece again in my wardrobe. And my second summer garment, which is the last one, is a top that took me so much effort, so much time, but I really enjoyed. I wore this a lot, and again, I designed this myself. I'm not going to be creating pattern on it, but I will put some pictures and names on the screen of the designs that are quite similar to this top. So if you like this idea, you could replicate it for yourself, but with patterns that already exist. So the reason why I designed it myself is because of the yarn. I had this Knitting for Olive Pure Silk in my stash, and it's very thin thread. I think it's 250 meters per 50 grams. And the recommended needles are 2.5 to 3mm needles. And I tried to find pattern for such yarn. I wanted this specific top, but I couldn't. And to be honest, I don't enjoy designing anything. And I was like, oh my gosh, I will have to make it. I'm quite happy, but it gave me quite a lot of stress because I like things to be as I want. Not perfect, but as I want, because it's money and time. And it's hard for me to always meet those expectations because I'm not a professional knitwear designer. Obviously, I'm just a random knitter. Anyways, I succeeded. I started at the back. This is a construction that is similar to my poppy tee but sweater. You start at the back and then you start increasing in every row back and forth along the shoulder slope. And then I did the same thing that I did in my poppy sweater. I did short rows here and the angles. So I did 1, 2, 3, came back, and then 1, 2, 3. And I kept knitting back and forth, finishing my shoulder slope. When I was done, I knitted everything down flat. Then I turned and I picked up stitches for the right shoulder, knitted all the way with the neck increases to the front. Left shoulder did the same, and then connected everything in the flat, and I started to knit back and forth the whole body down. So then I did the ribbing one by one. I knitted the bottom band also with one by one ribbing. And as you can see, you cannot open it. So I did knit an opening ribbing from both sides, but then I carefully sew them together so it looks way more neat. I did the neckline. The cast off I used is a regular cast off when we knit and slip stitches, but in this case I purled and slipped stitches. Looks quite nice, I quite like it. And after everything was done, that took me so much effort, the edges were flaring out a little bit, so I inserted elastic thread all over. everywhere, in the armholes, in the bottom, in the button bands, in the neckline, everywhere. So such small item took me the effort, almost like an entire sweater on thick needles. But still, it will be in my wardrobe. I will not be repeating such experiments. I would just better buy myself a top that I really enjoy, even if made of silk. But I'm very proud and happy that I have it in my wardrobe, designed by me. All right, that was it for the garments, and now I'm going to show you all of my hats. I needed quite a few hats this year, and I really love all of them. Some of them are for me, some of them for my husband, and some for my Etsy shop where I actually sell them. So the first one is for the Etsy shop that I never showed on my channel. I am going to show it actually in my next knitting podcast, and it's made of 100% cashmere. It is 1 by 1 ripped hat that is actually double rolled. Look at this. It's very long. It took me forever to knit on 2.5 mm needles. So this is a female hat, and it is super cute because it creates this really chunky brim without so much volume on the top. I really love this. I would love to have it for myself, and if it's not going to be sold eventually, maybe I take it to my wardrobe. The cashmere is incredible. I already spoke a few times in my previous podcast how much I love Italian yarn and cones. You can buy it in Etsy shops, you can find it on internet. It is a bit harder to find than very popular cashmeres out there in the market, but still possible. So if you're interested in trying Italian yarn and cone and you're not afraid of knitting with 5 very thin strands, I really suggest this yarn. It's gorgeous and it's extremely soft. I would love to wear it. To be honest, I feel like it's softer than Cardiff Cashmere Classic. Really, really nice. Like a kitten, I swear. Incredible. The next item is also a hat for my Etsy shop that is there for sale. This is a brioche hat that is knit with the same yarn as the previous hat, Brioche Cashmere. I knitted this also with 5 strands on 3 mm needles. Overall, I really love brioche hats. They look very voluminous and warm because the fabric itself ends up quite thick. And I really like the decreases on the crown of the hat. It looks very professional. It looks like from those expensive cashmere brands like Loro Piana or Max Mara that create cashmere hats. And I tried to replicate it somehow so people could buy it for themselves if they want. So again, if nobody buys it, I will take it to my wardrobe. The next hat I finally did for myself. Very recent finished object. I didn't even show it on my podcast yet. It is going to be in the next episode though. It is a brioche hat that I knitted on 3 mm needles using Shipty's Metropolis, which is extra fine merino 75% and 25% nylon, and 1 strand of Carriage Sense, which is a brushed cashmere on silk, which is 71% brushed cashmere, 19% silk, and 10% elastan. I really enjoy that yarn. Elastan adds a little elasticity, and with time the hat shouldn't grow a lot. I've worn this hat already for quite a few times, and the bottom doesn't hold up really well, so I will have to insert some of the elastic threads, and that will help to keep the shape well, which is normal for the brioche hat. I'm not complaining, it's completely fine. For all of my hats, by the way, I'm using German twisted cast on bigger size of the needles, and that gives me quite elastic thread, and it looks quite neat. I would love to repeat this in a different yarn, and now I'm using this hat a lot in the mountains as well when I go hiking. Next hat has the yarn that I would recommend everyone to try. So this is a hat for my husband. Everything again designed by me. Originally this hat was knitted for a hiking journey. We did Tour de Mont Blanc, really long hike across the Alps. It was 185 kilometers hike, and this hat supposed to be like a hat in the backpack that he will pull up in the evening in cold mountains and just sleep with this and have a coffee in the morning. So he took it to Tour de Mont Blanc hike, and it was incredible. It performed its function really well, and it keeps being his hiking slash climbing hat. He takes it all the time when he goes to nature activities. The yarn that I use is 2 threads. The first thread is a sock yarn, which is regular cashmere premium, 78% wool and 12% cashmere. I don't know exactly what wool, is it merino or any other, but it feels quite soft and it's not scratchy at all. And the second thread, I was actually wrong, it's 2 threads. Second two threads is the Cashmere Cariagi 100%, the same cashmere that I used for this hat, but this hat is needed 100% of that cashmere, and here I have it as two additional threads. So what I have is I achieved quite durable, sturdy shape with the sock yarn and very nice softness and fluff with the Cariagi cashmere. Cashmere fluffs up quite a lot with time, not so much like Cardiff cashmere, but really enough to feel that luxury and warmth on your head and some isolation as well. And I have to say how beautifully the yarn performs, like this Regia Cashmere Premium. It holds its shape very well. It's super even. This is 1x1 rip, by the way, all over. And my husband is not treating this hat well, right? He's just doing this and putting this in the backpack, and he doesn't care. And I knew it, so I did this with that intention. The only bad thing about this hat is that I did the brim quite short, and he always complains that his ears get cold. So I have to, next time I want to repeat actually this hat in a different yarn, I need to knit it longer and higher the brim. It also has this fold that I do with 5 rows of double knitting, and overall it's very useful hat in his wardrobe. And the last hat I have is also a hat for my husband. I consider this hat a little bit of a flop because of the yarn choice. So this hat was created also to go to the mountains, but not for harsh conditions. So let's say we just go for a hike, 1-day hike, or we go for a long walk, or he goes shopping groceries in the city and he puts that hat. And I don't really like how the yarn behaves. This is a Schachenmeyer merino wool 120. What I don't like about this yarn is the whole spinning. Like it's just spun one direction, and that creates directional issues in the hat itself. So if you look at the hat, the directions of the rib are going to be a little bit twisted, and that's already counting with the fact that I inserted 2 elastic threads that are completely evenly attached. They don't really help much. The yarn still behaves weird and changes the direction of the rib, which I don't really like. I think it's okay for the flat knitting because you're not constantly spinning the yarn, you know, with a spiral direction. You knit flat all the time, right? But when you knit something in the round, either a sweater or a hat, it is not super wash. It is 100% extra fine merino wool, extremely soft. I think this yarn is perfect also for the babies or for very sensitive people, but I just don't like the stitch definition. I don't like how weirdly shaky and drapey it is. By the way, the construction again is created by me. It is also a brioche hat, knitted on 3.5mm needles. It's actually similar to the blue hat that I showed you before, with these crown decreases. All right, I have only one item left. Like it was a gift knit, but I held it in my house for this video specifically. I will gift it right after. This is a baby knit that I knit for my friend Julia. She gave a birth to a daughter 7 months ago, and I knitted her daughter this little cardigan that I also created myself. This is a cardigan for a 1-year-old baby. And I used the 100% polyester yarn because I didn't know if the baby is sensitive to wool, and she lives in Miami, which is really hot. I didn't want to torture the baby with the wool, and I went with something more safe. This is a baby yarn. It is Katia Copito Soft. It's very beautiful boucle yarn, but it's not exactly boucle. It's just pieces of yarn that are attached to one thread, and it's extremely soft, super nice, a little bit stretchy, which is nice for the baby needs. So I knitted the whole raglan flat, and then I did the ribbing on the button band. I attached the buttons and I attached the flowers. There's not so much to say about this beautiful gift knit. It's just extremely cute and I cannot wait to gift it to her. Now let's go over the mittens. These are the mittens for my Etsy shop also that are there for sale. They're made of 100% cashmere, and it's kind of a pair for my blue hat, for my blue brioche hat. But these mittens are 1x1 rip, and I think they're pairing together really well. I knit this also with the same yarn as the hat, 100% cashmere from Cariagi, in this very beautiful deep cobalt blue, and they're incredibly soft. It's a very gentle fluff. It's not a crazy fluff from cashmere, but it's very rich, gentle fluff that is, I swear, like a kitty towards the neck. Super nice. I have very beautiful increases for the thumb. I really also like the length of it. They're quite long, So I need this on 4mm needles with 5 strands of yarn again. They do take some time and it's a small circumference. I really enjoy them, and again, if nobody buys them, I will wear them myself. And now I only have 2 more items to show you. These are the socks. The first socks were knitted also for the hike that I did with my husband in summer. They're these big socks for me to sleep in my sleeping bags while we're on our hiking adventure, and they perform their function really well. You can already see that they're worn and they're a little bit tired. But they're still really nice. I knitted them on 2mm needles and I casted on 72 stitches, which ended up huge. And my intention, of course, was for them to be bigger than usually, because I usually wear some cotton socks underneath when I sleep in my sleeping bag. But in the end, it stretched quite a lot. I think if I would just cast on 66 stitches, it would be already more than enough to make them a little bit bigger and would be still fine. They're also self-drafted. I started with a German cast on, then 2x2 ribbing, then the heel flap and German short row heel. The yarn that I used is a Regia design line from Norwegian designers. I already forgot their names. I'll put on the screen. It's quite soft. I would say it's way less rustic than some of the other Regia yarns. It's really woolly. It does peel quite a lot. So this yarn Regia design line has some other beautiful colors that I would like to try. And so you're just knitting with one strand of yarn and you're achieving this helical knitting or color work effect. Really beautiful socks. And the last item I gotta show you today are the socks for my cousin that I'm going to also gift right after this video. I am thinking maybe I should release a video tutorial on YouTube on how to knit such socks, so you can knit along with me. I bought the yarn Rosarius Maya and it is quite thick. I think it's even a little bit thicker than the sport weight. Oh no, it is a sport weight. And I couldn't find any pattern that I would like on such gauge. I really wanted something interesting with braids. So these socks have very thick rib on the front and some braids that face each other as they go along the cuff. Then one of them stops at the heel and one of them continues. Here I had the construction of the strong heel where you increase for the heel and then the decrease. I really love that heel construction. It is quite simple, very easy, not complicated, and looks really special. So what's also nice about this is that it has only 58 stitches, and because of the ribbing, it is quite stretchy. I'm really happy with them. Yeah, let me know if you would like a tutorial for these socks on YouTube from me. I hope you enjoyed my little collection of 2024. I'm wishing you a beautiful year of knitting 2025. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching, and I'm hoping to see you soon in my next video.